Hello, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is another Monday morning here in Europe, Italy, and thank God that the U.S. Presidential election went fine. Everything goes fine, and you are welcome to my channel and have some fun. Grab whoever you want. So you all are welcome, and let's link to each other and make new friends. Thank you.
Indeed. Given that there is a very obvious suspicion on the part of the Biden camp about the motivations for Brexit, at the same time as Joe Biden is wanting to take some steps away from the kind of the America First foreign policy of Donald Trump, and presumably is looking for closer relationships with the European Union, how do we characterise our exit from the European Union in a manner that people like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris will be content with? How do we describe it so that they do not see us as doing, what Donald Trump has done in various ways over the past few years and retreating inwards?
Well, as I said earlier, we've got the first tool in our own hands, which is actually getting a deal with Europe. It won't be the expansive, frictionless trade deal that we were all talking about a few years ago, but it will be something, and it will be a basis on which to build a relationship on things like foreign policy, security, counterterrorism, which are the things that Biden will care about. And then we do have things that we can use. The fact is that on the Middle East, on China, on Russia, most of UK policies are supportive not only of what Biden has been saying, but actually what most of our European partners are talking about. But I think we've got to get away from the idea that we can build here in the UK after Brexit a foreign policy which ignores the views of our European partners. The fact is that we're well aligned with them on the substance. We're well aligned with where Biden broadly will want to take us. And we ought to start working in that more collaborative way again, rather than the whole time talking about our right to stand out, our right to do things on our own. We all know that. We're a sovereign country, we always have been actually, but Biden will understand that having that sovereignty doesn't mean that we have to stand out alone the whole time. We should be more collaborative. He's an internationalist, he's a pragmatist, he knows us very, very well over 4, nearly 5 decades now. So I think there's the foundation there for a realistic and solid relationship, but we've got to sort our own house out first on Europe and create the right sort of relationship with the European Union over the years ahead.
Interesting times ahead, to put it mildly. So Nigel Shannon, lovely to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Still to come on the programme in just a few minutes' time, I'll be speaking to a professor about the rapid turnaround coronavirus tests currently in use across Liverpool. Can Joe Biden bring together a divided United States? I'll be talking to a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter. And at 9:15, we'll have a regular Monday Money Matters. This week, we'll be asking how to make the most Christmas shopping was difficult year. Wales' 2-week so-called firebreak lockdown has ended, and a new suite of restrictions began there this morning. The success of the shutdown is still unknown, and First Minister Mark Drakeford telling Sky News yesterday it would take a couple of weeks to know exactly what effect it has had. Let's speak now to Dan Whitehead, joining us from Newport. Dan, give us an idea of how that lockdown has been received in Wales, how much people have been calling out for a relaxing of those restrictions, and of course the big question in all of this, when do we know if it's worked?
Well, when the lockdown started 17 days ago, people in Wales broadly received it quite well. It was obviously much shorter than the lockdown was coming to force in England. It came over half term, so that made it slightly easier when it comes to things like childcare. And now it's ended, where of course England has gone into its own lockdown. There are still restrictions in place though, so although non-essential retail is reopening here in Wales, parts of the restaurants, the
Hello, Jovi Vlogs. You are welcome. Thank you for coming. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? Annie Vlog, Annie Official. You are welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing? Thank you, Lita.
So those are the rules that have come into force from today as this short, sharp shop has come to an end. Important as well to
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. You are welcome to my channel. You can grab whoever you want. Thank you, thank you, thank you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support.
This is what people in Cardiff had to tell us about how they felt about coming out of the fire break. We're a little bit ahead of this about those patterns. I'm feeling obviously very
Yeah, you are very free. You can drop your link. You can drop your link. You are free to drop your link. You are free. You can drop your link and grab whoever you want.
But I don't see us changing the way we're doing things much. We've got small children, so we'll be trying to keep our distance and kind of go up to pubs and stuff.
Thank you, Lita. Thank you.
Comes out of the fire break about the COVID rates in certain areas, especially in the valleys. Look at places like Merthyr Tydfil, which in the last couple of weeks still has one of the highest COVID rates in the whole of the UK, between 5 up to 700 cases per 100,000. Now, officials in Wales say you've got to take those numbers with a pinch of salt because Merthyr is one of the smallest regions, or is the smallest region in Wales, so it sometimes skews the growth rate. But that is a concern when looking at the high rates of COVID that's still prevalent in Wales, and especially in South Wales. And as you say, the First Minister has outlined that we're not going to see the benefits of this fire break.
Hello, Lenich Vlogs. You are welcome. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you.
To see whether the dip and the numbers start to decline.
I'm from Nigeria, but I live in Europe. I live here in Europe. I live in Italy. You know, I work here in Italy, but most of the time I spend time in Germany.
The Welsh Government will be having meetings with the Westminster Government and the other devolved nations in the hope to create a unified approach for all of the UK nations as to how they're going to deal with Christmas. Dan, many thanks indeed. Much more from Wales, of course, throughout the day. But let's talk about the bigger picture. And the number of coronavirus cases, well, across the globe has passed 50.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. What about you?
The United States, as you can see, has
Lenich,
cases, more than 9.9 million.
I'm fine. What about you?
Over 8.5 million cases. Brazil, third worst, 5.6 million cases of COVID-19. Well, as for us, the United Kingdom has the 8th highest caseload globally, more than 1.1 million cases, not far off, of course, becoming 1.2. Let's bring in our reporter, Sky's Ali Fortescue, joining us from the newsroom. Can we be in any way generalise about the reason
Usadolo and happy family. You are welcome to my channel.
United States, India, Brazil,
You are welcome.
UK, not far off getting into the top 10?
Thank you for coming.
People were predicting
You can grab whoever you want.
people were hoping we'd avoid that.
Well, I think that is the question that everyone's trying to answer. I think one of the biggest concerns is that in reality that 50 million figure is probably a lot higher, and certainly in this country, as you said there, we're edging ever closer to 50,000 deaths. This week we start the first full week.
And you are very free to drop your link. You can drop your link and grab whoever you want.
Saying that they're taking this very seriously, they're not taking any chances, certainly when it comes to international travel. That ban that came into force in Denmark on the weekend after it was a mutation of the virus was discovered on a mink farm. They've gone further now, and that means that any freight drivers, any hauliers coming into this country who have been in Denmark in the last 14 days will not be able to come into the UK, and cabin crew as well won't be able to come into the UK unless they are British citizens, and then they'll have to isolate for 2 weeks. So that is very significant. Already airlines saying that it goes too far, and I'm sure the government will face plenty of questions on that over the coming days.
I'm certain that they will. Ali, many thanks indeed.
Now, interesting one this. As you will no doubt be aware, the first mass testing scheme in the UK began in Liverpool last week. Members of the armed forces helped carry out thousands of tests for anyone living or working in the city, including children. Boris Johnson has said the
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
could be
Thank you for coming.
forward through the crisis. Is it though? Professor Sheila Burt is the former programme leader at the MRC Biostatistics Unit at the University of Cambridge. She's also a member of the Royal Statistical Society's COVID Task Force. Perfect then to walk us through the efficacy or otherwise of this mass testing scheme. Professor, really lovely to see you this morning. Should we just start with a kind of an infrastructural question? Do we have the testing infrastructure to move from pilots in Liverpool to nationwide mass testing?
The important step between those two is getting the results of the Liverpool pilot. So, as your viewers may know, mass screening for asymptomatic infections was not a priority for the UK's scientific advisory agencies without testing having first been delivered for healthcare workers in care homes, at universities, and the Royal Statistical Society's strong recommendation, swab testing also of those persons who test and trace has passed to St. Isolate. However, as we know, advisors advise and ministers decide. And so we have, Liverpool has mass screening for asymptomatic infections in its citizens, and may yet make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
Well, I think plenty of people will be keeping their fingers crossed for that. But I suppose, Professor, given the discussion we've just had, explain for viewers who may not be as au fait with tackling this type of infection, why mass testing on a national scale might well be our only route out of a COVID-19 future.
Well, the reason it could be a sow's ear is that the rapid tests that are being used for this mass screening have not been evaluated in the context of trying to diagnose low-frequency asymptomatic infections. And so there's an evaluation step. And the silk purse is because Liverpool is intending to build that evaluation step into its mass screening of citizens. So by deploying good science, the Liverpool team is intending to do corroborative testing, confirmatory testing of its citizens, at least initially, all of those who test positive and a sufficient random sample of those who test negative on these rapid tests. And in that way, Liverpool will be able to tell us how the rapid test that is being used there actually functions, how well it functions in a context where what they're trying to detect is really low frequency, somewhere between 1 in 300 up to maybe 1 in 75 would be my estimate of the task that Liverpool is taking.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry to interrupt, Professor. From what you're saying, and forgive me if I'm putting this in a rather context, we are testing the test as we're testing Liverpool.
Yes, perfect.
Success.
And well done, Liverpool, for doing that.
Perfect. Listen, I think we should probably end the interview there. In fact, end the programme there, given that I've just been called perfect. But I want to conclude on one question. If we cannot, in the immediate future, get to a stage where we roll out across the population, asymptomatic testing as well as symptomatic testing, are there cadres, cohorts of people that we should be focusing our attention on? I'm clearly thinking, of course, of frontline health workers, but perhaps other key workers, people working in shops and so on.
Indeed, we should indeed focus on where the infection is most likely to be, and so testing for healthcare workers, testing in care homes, testing at universities, and as the Royal Statistical Society has very strongly recommended, there should be swab testing offered to persons who test and trace is asked to self-isolate, because we know that those who have 10 times higher risk of being infected than the me in the wider community.
Professor Sheila, I have to say thank you so much for your time this morning, not just because you called me perfect. Thank you for joining us on the programme. Yeah, she can come back. She can come back. Oh, you're less than perfect. Naz has the details. Have you made the computer work this hour, Naz?
Thank you. Well, it isn't looking perfect weather-wise. We are seeing quite a lot of power around today, foggy conditions.
Get ready for safe.
Guys, you can grab each other. You can show love to one another, please, guys.
Good morning. So we're back to the mild.
Keep on grinding.
Quite a bit of cloud for this weekend, spells of rain as well. Also a bit of mist and fog out there this morning. Fairly extensive, fairly dense around some eastern areas where it may be quite slow to clear. However, across the north of Scotland, it's a bright start. It's cooler there compared to where, as you can see, temperatures are widely in double figures. The mist, the fog, the warmth tend to lift and clear. But where rain across the south or west areas as well, in fact, it will continue to move its way north and eastwards across parts of the UK and Ireland through this afternoon with some heavy downpours, particularly across parts of England and Wales. There will be a bit of brightness at times across the north of Scotland. There will be sunny spells continuing there, and across Ireland, Northern Ireland, the north of Wales, perhaps locally in the south west too.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. Yes, thank you. Now, can Joe Biden bring together a divided United States? I'll be talking to a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter. After the break.
November 1st, 2006, two Russian agents released a deadly nuclear poison. The agents were on a mission to kill former KGB spy Alexander Litvinenko. But there was another man in the hotel bar that afternoon, and his life became intertwined with Alexander Litvinenko from that day forward. In Sky News' most award-winning podcast, Storycast, now comes Polonium and the Kremlin.
President-elect Joe Biden certainly has a tough road ahead as he seeks to unite a bitterly divided nation. The intervention addressing perceived racial inequality and a pandemic that has so far killed more than 237,000 Americans. Joining me to discuss exactly what Joe Biden's win could mean for the United States, Trump supporter Karen Burton-Walker and the journalist and Biden supporter Ernest Holmes. Guys, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for staying up so late for us this morning. Karen, let's come to you first. And before we kind of cast our eyes forward, I wonder if we'll just reflect on what has happened. How disappointed were you with what has happened over the past few days and what seems like the almost certainty that Joe Biden will be taking over on January the 20th?
I'm disappointed that President Trump did not win. I know that there's broad investigations in several states, but I'm glad to know that overall we did not have a blue wave as the Democrats were saying that we would have. Republicans, we actually picked up several seats in many states, so I'm glad about that.
Well, Karen, just before we move on to Ernest, what was it about Donald Trump that made him the more attractive of the two? Plenty of people have pointed to Donald Trump's faults, his flaws, the character of the man, but even set against someone who's seems to be generally accepted, Joe Biden is quite a nice guy. Donald Trump is your man.
Yes, because what attracted me to Donald Trump is what attracts me to the Republican Party, which is his policy. When policy lasts longer than president or in office. So when I decide my president, who I'm going to support, I look at the policy that they support, and that's how I make my decision. And that's why I can vote for Donald Trump, regardless of what he does or says.
And I was wondering if you actually pick up on Karen's point. You were a Biden supporter. Things could have been a little bit trickier for Joe Biden if someone perhaps other than Donald Trump had the same policy portfolio. Look at where he made gains in this election as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Donald Trump definitely, did better than he did in 2016, but, almost doesn't count. Biden definitely took over, definitely outperformed him in places like Pennsylvania, which is where I live, Philadelphia, and even though Trump did better in 2016 in Philly, Biden just outperformed him. And I think that's because a lot of people in this country are not just concerned about policy, but they're tired of the rhetoric. They're tired of the hate. They're tired of the division that consistently defines Trump's presidency, And I think that as a journalist, it has been frustrated that every single day I've had to, spend more time talking about what the president is tweeting rather than what the president is doing policy-wise. I mean, this is the pandemic. You spend more time, in facts and putting out misinformation on social media than we actually did in trying to reduce these numbers. I mean, we're currently seeing a six-figure spike for like 4 consecutive days right now. People are dying. And this president is spending more time trying to refute an election that he's definitely lost. It's over.
And just before we go back to Canada, just a word though on Joe Biden. I understand the sentiment that there will have been amongst many voters in the United States with anyone but Trump. And there's nothing about Joe Biden that concerns you. You just saw him jogging onto stage to give that kind of acceptance speech with Kamala Harris. He's clearly in quite good nick. He's clearly a fit guy. He's not going to be serving 2 terms, is he?
I think that it's too early to tell, but one thing is that at least he gets the choice whether he's going to serve 1 term or not. I mean, in this situation, Trump can have the choice. I mean, the American voters shouldn't have happened. And I think that's the difference between Biden and Trump is that, people were willing to elect the oldest U.S. president. And if he gets elected, he'll be 78 years old. He'll be the oldest U.S. president elected at 78. Trump is, I believe, 74, but Trump is not going to get a second term. And he has to come to that reality. And the American people, largely black voters specifically, helped propel that victory for Biden, and they brought some sanity back to this country, which I'm happy about.
Karen, you will have, I'm sure, if you didn't limited to Joe Biden's speech. We'll have read about it, picked up on it, through social media and newspapers and so on. When he said that he will be a president for everyone, including the millions, the 70 million that didn't vote for him, did that resonate with you?
It did, and I'm glad that he will be a president for everyone. But so was Donald Trump. Donald Trump's policies work for everyone, even those who did not like him, even those who voted against him. The policies that worked, that he put in place, the legislation, it worked for everyone. And don't be surprised if Donald Trump decides to run again in 2024. And I will encourage him. I think he should.
Indeed, well, a similar point to Ernest. I mean, I saw you shaking your head there, Ernest. You clearly don't feel that Donald Trump is necessarily a president for all the people. But the idea that Joe Biden can at any point in the immediate future heal the gigantic rifts that there are between both sides of the political spectrum, I mean, that's for the points, isn't it?
Well, first of all, Dan clearly did not work for all. Trying to build walls was a policy that did not work for all. Saying that there are good people on both sides, having a hard time disavowing white supremacy, do not have ideals that are for all. So I don't really know what kind of America she was living in these past 4 years, but I would tell you that clearly in this country, if that was the case and those policies were helping everyone, we would not see these larger-than-life numbers. I mean, Joe Biden has had more of the popular vote than any year in modern history. People really came out appreciating that, you can't, president is more than just policy. They're also about personality, about character, and about trust. And clearly Americans do not trust him with the second term. So, we could talk about what Biden might do next, but I think at the end of the day, there's more people willing to work with him in this country than the other way around. And so that gives me a little bit of optimism compared to what we could have done.
Karen, Ernest, we're just about to run out of time, so I'm going to ask you to put politics to one side and give me a yes or no answer to this next question. Karen, to you first. Donald Trump, do you think he's going to run again in 2024?
I think so. And just one thing that was bad about the wall, Donald Trump, he increased the Hispanic, the Latino vote more than we did in 2016. It is the Hispanic, 18% of black men voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone is mad at him. They may not like his rhetoric, but they like what he is doing for this country.
Let's give Ernest a chance to come back. Yes, no to Trump in 2024. Not your personal opinion, is he going to do it?
No, he'll be in jail faster before he'll be running for president.
Ernest Owens, Karen Burton Walker, thank goodness we didn't have you in the same studio, but thank you for being on screen in mine. Pleasure to talk to you both.
Thank you.
Let's get back to coronavirus now. As freight drivers who recently travelled through Denmark are being refused entry to Britain, and that's following the emergence of a mutation in the virus on mink farms in the country. Pleased to say, Professor of Clinical Microbiology, Hans Kolnes from the University of Southern Denmark, joins us on the programme. Professor, lovely to see you this morning. How concerned are you, and how concerned should we be?
We are concerned, and that's why we have imposed or implemented some quite drastic precautions that is taking out all the industrial mink herds and killing the animals because we cannot control the transmission. We have to remember that these mink herds, they are immense. There are thousands of individuals gathered in a very, very little space. And this makes the potential for many transmissions from animal to animal, and that's a dangerous situation. Every time the virus is transmitted from one individual to another, you have the risk of mutations.
As things stand, what is the level of transmissibility between animals to humans, animals to animals? I mean, is there any evidence that this is spreading has spread already from the mink population outwards?
Well, we know from the seven or another other judgments where this was first recognized that about half of all the COVID-19 cases that we have in humans actually have their origin in mink strains. That doesn't mean that everybody has been infected from a mink farm, but the potential of the problem is that these mink strains that are mutated are being transmitted back to humans, and then they are transmitted from human to human. But it's about half of all the strains in the population in Northern Jutland that has where the strains has an origin in mink farms. So this is quite a volatile situation.
Professor, what then, if any, are the implications for the production of a vaccine, of a human vaccine for COVID-19?
Well, that's a newest development. All the scientists at the State Serum Institute in Copenhagen have recognized that there are a few strains among these mink strains, and we have seen them on 12 occasions that there are mutations that encode and a change in a major change, or could encode a major change in the spike protein of the virus. And you know the spike protein is the protein that sticks out of the virus, and which the virus uses for attachment.
Hello, guys. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for staying with me.
Many changes in the spike protein. We'll be in a situation where a future vaccine may not work sufficiently because all the vaccines
Keep connecting, guys. Keep connecting.
so far have been raised from spike proteins of traditional COVID-19 strains.
Osadolo and Happy Family TV said, keep coming, guys. So connect. Grab the people you don't have.
And we cannot be sure that this will not occur in the future too. We do not know so far. There are only 12 examples of people carrying this problematic strain. But we cannot be sure that we...
Guys, how did you see the American election? And what is your opinion about the victory of Joe Biden?
From future mutations. So that's the reason why we have decided, or why the government has decided from a precautionary principle to take out all mink herds, just to be sure that we don't interfere with public health.
Professor Cromwell, thank you so much for putting everything into some sort of context for us, Professor Hans Puls, from the University of Southern Ghana. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay with us. Coming up next, this week's Money Matters. I'll be talking about the Christmas shopping season and if you can safely buy vouchers and experiences whilst so many businesses are teetering on the brink of failing. That's coming next.
Nosaf, Nosaf Ekagusa, you're welcome. I think it's just a ninja. Anyway, you are welcome for your welcome. Thanks for your support. You can thumbs up for me, please.
At time about 4, money matters, so we can look at how to keep those finances healthy during the pandemic. I'm pleased to say that joining us this week, Felicity Hannah at Freelance Journal, specialising in finance and consumer affairs. Felicity, lovely to have you on the programme this morning. Loving the bookshelf, very colour coordinated. Like to see it. But let's talk about financial matters, shall we? Of course, this is the second lockdown that we're entering this morning. The first lockdown clearly lasted longer, a lot longer than most of us are hoping this one will. It changed our spending habits quite considerably. Do you think we're going to see a change in saving spending habits over the course of the 4 weeks of lockdown too?
Bella Fanchula, you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. Good morning. You are welcome. You can grab whoever you want. You are free to drop your channel. You are free to drop your link. You can drop your link and grab who you don't have. Thank you for coming. Thumbs up for the host.
And of course, we've got Black Friday looming large on the horizon. I just wonder, given that there is going to be this push on online sales, because all of the shops are shut, whether there will be a bricks and mortar pushback once they open up. In a sense, I'm asking, do I buy now, or do I wait for the deals when the shops open up again?
I wish I could give you a straight answer on it's very difficult to know. I suspect that the bricks and mortar retailers will be trying to entice us back in once they're around there. They'll be trying to get a really, really big seasonal push. Having said that, they are offering some good Black Friday deals. But with Black Friday every year, you do have to be very cautious about what actually is a good deal. Quite often you get these patched up marketed as being particularly great sales offers, but actually if you look at what those items are selling for throughout the year, not on Black Friday, it's not a particularly fantastic discount. So a really good plan would be ahead of Black Friday, look at the items that you particularly want to buy, try and work out what you would normally pay for those, and then you can assess whether that's actually a good price on Black Friday, or if you should hold off and see if there might be a bit of a bricks and mortar push. Although of course, that also has its risks. You're already want to use outside of retailers once in a while back in these shops. It's very, very hard to know.
Certainly is. And you mentioned a second ago that furlough and the fact that people will be back on it. Is the support that people on furlough at the moment the same as it's always been? Has it changed? Is there any help out there for the so-called excluded, those who haven't really been qualified for any money thus far?
This is a really, really good question. So the furlough scheme have been winding up from this latest lockdown. It had been not less generous to the employees, but less generous to the employers. They had to contribute more. That's now back to the original spring levels of furlough. The government would pay 80% of people's salaries for any hours that the qualifying workers are not actually working. If they're working hours, then the employees obviously pay for those hours. If they're not, then the employer just has to pay national insurance contributions and any pension contributions. So it doesn't make a huge amount of difference to the actual employees, but it is easier for the employers. Having said that, as you say, a huge number of teams left out of this particular range of government support. So there's a lot of online buzz about it. They first and foremost be excluded. They feel left behind. Perhaps people who didn't qualify for furlough because of the way they work is set up that pays 80% of people's average annual trading profits for the qualifying months. So there are a lot of people left out of that government support. Estimates vary from 1 and 3 million people haven't been able to get that help. They continue to campaign, they continue to ask for more support. The government has said, well, look, we've increased benefits payments in this time. So there are other measures.
Felicity, I'm so sorry. Money matters, but so do timings, and unfortunately, we're entirely out of it. We'll see you again. Thanks very much indeed. Coming up after the break, guess what? We'll get a bit more about Donald Trump continuing to dispute the election, or the result of the US election.
Guys, thank you for staying with me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, Florence Prosper. You are welcome to my channel. Good morning, good morning. So how are you? How are you doing, sir? You are welcome. Thumbs up, thumbs up. He's just a supporter, he's just a friend, so he's not a content creator. How is your family? Thank you for your support. You are welcome, you are welcome, you are welcome. $10 million people in the 10 million people is watching me right now. You can grab whoever you want. If you know you are a content creator, grab whoever you want.
Morning all, it is 9 o'clock. You're watching the only breakfast show live.
Thank you, Bella Fanchula. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying with me.
President waiting in the wings, and
Thank you.
Promises, with a row brewing over
God bless you. God bless you for your time, man. Thank you.
Find out what the Environment Secretary told us the next president might be more engaged in. Plus, we'll be live from China as they give their reaction to the election. Also this morning, inspiring the first ever female vice president. I'll be speaking to Kamala Harris's high school best friend, Wanda Caden, about how the new VP said she had influenced her life. That's coming up. Also ahead,
Some of the really iconic, successful people out there.
what does it take to succeed in these COVID times? One who will know at the global adventure, Bear Grylls. He'll be talking us through his new project with some famous faces, hoping to inspire the next generation to realise their full potential in life. It's Monday, the 9th of November. Turning the pandemic around, Joe Biden prepares to take his COVID plan to the next level with hints that he may reverse some of the president's policies. Mainstream media, a fresh attack from Donald Trump over the election results, as the Environment Secretary tells us he expects a Biden administration to be more engaged on climate issues.
And I think that this administration has already signalled it's going to be much more engaged in some of those international fora for the environment.
But around is brewing over Brexit with the new US. Shadow Attorney General tells us the government shouldn't be altering the internal markets bill.
To make ourselves an international outsider, somebody who will become low down the list of the people the United States will want to do business with, is a very big mistake.
Wales ends its firebreak lockdown. The First Minister there admits it may take weeks to know if it worked.
And that's a Green Investment Summit kicks off here in the City of London. I'll be speaking to Jess Staley, the Chief Executive at Barclays.
And we're back to the mild conditions once again. It's going to be rather cloudy this week with patches of mist, fog, and we'll have all the details for you later in the paper.
Morning all, a president-elect keen to get down to business, and a president in situ, showing no signs of accepting that he's going anywhere. The Environment Secretary George Eustice told us this morning the government thinks the new administration may be much more engaged in certain issues. There's a row brewing as well over Brexit and the impending vote on the internal markets bill due to be held in the Lords today. We'll have more on that in just a minute. But first, Donald Trump has responded to pressure from some for him to concede defeat in the US election. He responded with another round of calls and a fresh attack on those who called for Joe Biden. Let's take a look at the lady's response. Guess how on Twitter he wrote this. Since when does the mainstream media call who our next president will be? We've all learned a lot in the last 2 weeks. Earlier I spoke with the Environment Secretary George Eustice. I asked him if the UK government had concerns about Donald Trump seemingly refusing to accept the US election result.
We think that the statistics are very clear that Joe Biden has won. That's what the position is. But it's this is a US election, and if Trump's got concerns about the way it was done, it's for him to consider if there are legal options. We're not going to interfere in that. It's not our job to.
You have to concede, though, it doesn't look great, and I understand that you perhaps won't go as far as your colleague Sajid Javid. But his claim that this is adolescent behaviour does seem to have a point.
Well, look, I'm not a returning officer in the US election. I don't know exactly what happened there. If there were issues, then obviously those engaged in that election have got a right to look at that and take that up. But the Prime Minister's already...
Hello, Mr. P.
Biden to the Post issued a statement, as his leaders around the world. It does look pretty clear that Joe Biden's won this election.
Yeah, who went on now? Mr. P, who went on?
70 electoral college votes, and it appears to be the next US president.
Èmi yá ibi yẹ òdò. Ọ̀bọ̀ kan bí wẹ̀ o.
US presidential election. And in the last few moments, China had this to say.
We noticed that Mr. Biden has declared election victory We understand that the presidential election result will be determined following the US laws and procedures. We always believed that China and the United States should enhance communication and dialogue,
Koyo.
manage differences on the basis of mutual respect, expand the cooperation and
Mami give away ọma accepting yẹn losing. It's Donald Trump ọma accepting.
and stable development of bilateral relations.
Now let's bring in our Asia correspondent Tom Cheshire, joining us from Beijing this morning. Good to see you, Tom. What can we read into remarks, the statement from the Chinese government?
Yeah, it's very non-committal, very characteristically dry there, and it's quite different from 2016 when Chinese President Xi Jinping did send his congratulations to Donald Trump, who had beaten Hillary Clinton relatively quickly. That hasn't happened so far. China's not the only country to refrain from doing this, but you do have to wonder why. I think there are two main reasons. The first is perhaps an abundance of caution. As China sees it, this may not be a settled election. You still
some freedoms are being
Lab channel, thank you for coming. God bless you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Right now, we are morning here in Italy. So, thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you. You can grab whoever you want. And thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you, thank you.
More than 5.6 million cases. For our parts, well, the UK has the 8th highest caseload globally, just edging up on 1.2 million cases. And over the last 24 hours, 20,572 people have tested positive for COVID in the UK. Today's figures reporting 156 further deaths within 28 days of testing positive. That brings the total number of deaths to 49,044. Let's try and reflect on those figures. Sky's Ali Fortescue joining us once again from the newsroom. 50 million, it's a horrible landmark, but one that needs to be marked.
Yeah, and I think there is a sense of inevitability about this. 50 million cases is an extraordinary number, as you say, and I think the real worry is that in reality that figure could be far higher, and certainly here in the UK, as you just said, we are edging ever closer to 50,000 deaths, which is another grim milestone. The government's saying that they are taking this very seriously, that they're not taking any chances, particularly when it comes to things like international travel, and certainly the situation with people coming from Denmark has changed dramatically in the last few days.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support.
Two-week quarantine that came into force on Saturday. Now, even hauliers that are trying to come to the UK from Denmark, if they've been in Denmark at all in the last 14 days, will not be allowed into the UK unless they are British, and then they will have to isolate for 2 weeks. So that is a significant change. Already pressure on the government from airlines, like the boss of Ryanair, saying that this is a bizarre intervention, particularly as now cabin crew are included in those rules as well. So plenty of pressure, but the concern from the government is that will this mutant strain impact the effectiveness of a vaccine? There have been mutant strains before. It is more than likely that this mutant strain won't necessarily impact the vaccine, but the government clearly saying that they are not taking any chances here.
Ali, thanks very much indeed. Time, as always, to get the latest business news from the heart of the city. And we can hear about the latest in the Climate Change Summit starting today in London with some pretty big names on the guest list. None of them, I'm sure, as big a name as Ian King joining us from the city. Ian, what's going on in your neck of the woods today?
Hello Neil, that's right. I mean, in an alternative universe, the start of COP26 will have been taking place this month, with lots of global leaders from around the world visiting London to agree on policies to enable net zero carbon by the middle of the century and to reduce emissions. Well, obviously that's been pushed forward into next year. It's going to be taking place in Glasgow. In the meantime, the City of London Corporation is hosting an event today with the Green Finance Institute, which is called the Green Horizons Summit. And as you say, there are some very big names participating. Mark Carney, the former Bank of England governor, he has been presiding over it. He's pulled a lot of this event together, and he's already said that he thinks climate change represents the biggest commercial opportunity in a generation for businesses. Among the others taking part, Prince Charles, who'll be speaking, Christine Lagarde from the European Central Bank, Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder, and among those also taking part is Jess Staley, the chief executive of Barclays, and he'll be joining me on the programme, hot foot from giving his speech to the Green Horizons Summit, in which he'll be telling me about the kind of efforts that Barclays is making to facilitate greater investment in the green economy. That's all coming up at 10 o'clock.
We will see you then. For now, thanks very much, Ian. But us, well, let's take a look at some of the other stories making the news this morning. And the BBC has insisted that it will investigate allegations that its journalist, Martin Bashir, used fake documents to obtain that famous interview with Princess Diana. It comes after a photo of Mr Bashir walking outside his home was published this weekend. The corporation has said that Mr Bashir is currently signed off work by doctors recovering from a quadruple heart surgery and has had complications from suffering from COVID-19 earlier this year. The real living wage rate is increasing, which means over 250,000 people will be due to receive a pay rise. The voluntary rate of pay is increasing to £10.85 an hour in London. Now,
King's Omen.
Elsewhere.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. You can thumbs up. You can grab whoever you want. I think this is a major. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. King Omer. Omar. King Omar.
Thousands of people have been taking to the streets calling for his resignation. Time once again to find out how the weather is looking this week. Nas has all the details. Morning, Nas.
Good morning. Yes, I have the details. The details are that it is turning mild once again. In fact, it's mild out there this morning, staying milder all week, cloudy, foggy, and there will be rains.
Get ready for safe skies. The weather is sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Good morning. So it is going to be mild for this week and generally quite cloudy as well, with outbreaks of rain at times. There will also be quite a bit of fog around this morning. We are seeing fairly extensive fog across England, Wales, and the eastern
Ciao, Fra.
of Scotland in particular. The mist and fog is gradually lifting, clearing.
Okay, va bene, grazie.
Around some eastern areas
Ciao.
this afternoon. As well as that, we've got showery spells of rain across the south and west, over some eastern areas as well. And these areas of rain will continue moving north and eastwards through this afternoon, so it is likely to be wet at times with some heavy downpours. Scotland looks drier, so in fact the north of Scotland bright this morning, cooler there compared to elsewhere without that cloud cover, and it's remaining sunny across much of northern Scotland this afternoon. There'll be brighter sunny spells elsewhere, but generally speaking there'll be a fair amount of cloud. As I said, there will be showery spells of rain with some heavy downpours at times, moving north and eastwards as well.
The weather is sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. Stay where you are at past. I'll be speaking to the high school best friend of Kamala Harris, who the Vice President-elect says influenced her career path. We're finding out why next.
On November the 1st, 2006, two Russian agents released a deadly nuclear poison. The agents were on a mission to kill former KGB spy Alexander Litvinenko. But there was another man in the hotel bar that afternoon, and his life became intertwined with Alexander Litvinenko from that day forward. From Sky News' multi-award-winning podcast, Storycast, now comes Polonium and Litvinenko.
subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Just the last 20 minutes, Russia has broken its silence on Joe Biden winning the 2020 US election. The Kremlin has said they hope that Russia can establish dialogue with the new US administration and find a way to normalise relations. They've said that Vladimir Putin is willing to work with any US leader. Throughout the show this morning, we've been getting reaction from supporters on both sides of the aisle on Biden's presidency and what it means not only for the United States, but for the world.
I think that there will be an awkward period while relationships get established. Underneath the surface, there's a huge amount always going on in UK-US relations, military, intelligence, trade, culture, all those things go on. But I don't think one should be unrealistic. I don't think there's going to be a sense of this as a relationship between Biden and Johnson made in heaven. They're very different people. It's going to take some time of working together to get the right rhythm and the right sense into their relationship.
I've heard, though, that both the First Lady and Jared Kushner are encouraging Donald Trump to move on. He apparently is being egged on in this behavior by his two sons, one or both of them who may have political ambitions themselves and want to stir up the most extreme elements in the Republican Party. And there was a stolen election or something like that.
We've only had less than a week since the election, and not every state has had their votes certified. I personally believe every American has the right to have their vote counted and to let this play out a little bit longer. But I assume that the president will, if his legal team tells him that there is no path forward to victory, the president will be gracious about it and concede. But I think he can tell it to a few more days and a little bit of patience on the part of the media and the American people.
The American populace has arguably never been more engaged in civics than they are right now. It's amazing to see those people who didn't really appreciate all of the mechanics of this democracy coming out of the woodwork and talking shop in ways that have been surprising even to me. So I know everybody's very focused on what it is that we need to accomplish in January so we can get the Senate back. There'll be a huge focus on immigration. There'll be a huge focus on climate, and something that I'm particularly excited about is how we're returning to the global stage as partners, as those who are enthusiastic about moving all of us positively forward, regardless of boundaries.
Clearly, Kamala Harris will make history when she becomes the first female vice president. That's during the campaign. She said events in her high school years actually influenced her career path. Who better then to talk to? From Montreal, Wanda Kagan, the high school best friend of Kamala Harris. Very good morning to you, Wanda. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm almost loath to ask about this because we all changed so much from where we were back in you call high school and we call secondary here. But just tell us, what was she like back then?
She was like pretty much what everybody sees when she's on her campaign trail. She was always a very, very joyous and happy person, very happy-go-lucky, and that's what I enjoyed watching as she was on her campaign trail in the audience with all the kids and her supporters, hands-on, which was very studious. Obviously, that's the path she took. It shows the result of what hard work could do.
So did it come as anything of a surprise, Wanda, when you discovered that your old high school pal might be the next vice president of the United States when it was announced that she and Joe Biden would be teaming up together for the 2020 election?
Well, said no. I mean, I had spoke with her in the past, so I kind of knew what path she probably would be going on. But it was pretty amazing to hear, you know, that she would be the first ticket of an African American female vice president elect ticket. So it was, you know, it was surprising but not surprising because she was always a leader, you know, from way back then, from when she, you know, took a stand for, you know, fighting for rights for myself, actually, fighting for rights for fellow students within the school. So, yeah.
I would just want to pick up on that actually. We're just looking at some beautiful pictures of the two of you back in, well, a few years ago, back in high school, and it certainly looks like you were very, very close friends. Sorry, I don't want to be so ungallant on live telly, speaking across the Atlantic to you by saying exactly how long ago it was. But no, she's mentioned in a number of interviews, and I think in fact you were alluding to it just there, that the experiences that she had in high school that set her on this path that has ultimately led her to the White House, and many people think, you know, perhaps even the next president of the United States after Joe Biden. What was that time at high school? What were those experiences that she spoke of?
Well, when I was in high school, I was being sexually molested by my stepfather, and I was very close with her, and you know, they always say you should tell somebody. So I told Kamala what was going on in my household, both the physical and the sexual abuse, and she, you know, right away said, well, you have to come and stay with us. And so I went to stay with her and my mom and her sister. And, you know, my mom was a wonderful. She navigated me through, you know, different various steps of the system. Her sister welcomed me into the home. Actually named my daughter after her sister, Maya. That's how impactful that was in my life because I was Kamala's best friend. Not necessarily really sisters, but she embraced and welcomed me and also. And so Kamala had called me, you know, a few years later to say that, you know, the impact that we're fighting for children and sexual assaults as she became a prosecutor and a district attorney. So that was a really special, touching moment when she shared the impact that, you know, I had on her life. And, you know, she's always had an impact on my life, on where I am today. And so it was really, really special to hear.
I can believe that entirely, but wonder, let's not forget the fact that, of course, it takes someone brave, your bravery in the first place, to actually reach out and try and get some help. And it was there from her family. I'm just wondering, how then you expect that teenager with such an open heart who was willing immediately to help out her best friend, how that will translate into the actions that she will take as vice president? Where do you then see perhaps the focus of once in the White House?
Well, that's just it. It's a nice balance of, you know, she's compassionate, but she has her past experience as a prosecutor allows her to bring a lot to the White House and to, you know, to the fight and the building of unity and bringing America back together as one, you know. So her past experiences, yes, will definitely, you know, help in her path forward.
And obviously you're
watching her make changes.
Of course, Wanda, and you are, of course, speaking about these matters that is slightly removed, speaking to us from Montreal.
Jovi Vlogs, you are welcome. You are welcome to my channel. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. You can grab whoever you want. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what I've enjoyed watching over the past few days, celebrations and, you know, phone calls that have come in to myself and my family in the States is that everybody's looking forward to a change and watching the Vice President-elect and President-elect Biden, you know, it seems to be like a joyous welcome for not just the United States of America, but many parts of the world. So yeah, interesting. I look forward to it.
Interesting is certainly the word, wonderful, as we look at pictures of Kamala Harris holding Joe Biden's hand, and indeed, those fantastic pictures of the two of you dressed in fashions from, I won't mention. We will say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Wanda Caden, great to talk to you. Now, on a week where the climate crisis is clearly very much back on the US agenda, Joe Biden will be voted to become the 46th president come January of next year. The Scottish Government's Climate Secretary has told Sky News that she believes the world won't have made enough of a recovery from the global...
Yeah, you are very free to promote your channel. Very free. Guys, you can grab Jovin's vlog. You can drop your link. You are very free. You can drop your link, grab whoever you want.
Instead, security guards at the SEC Centre are preparing not for world leaders, but coronavirus patients, with the COP26 climate conference put back to next November. The delay will give Glasgow another 12 months to prepare. As the host city, Glasgow will also be in the spotlight, with people looking to see what it's doing to tackle climate change. One of Glasgow's showcase projects is the repurposing of its canals to drain off surface water from land prone to flooding. It means thousands of new homes can be built close to the city centre, so people can walk to work or school in so-called 20-minute communities.
Climate change is having to make engineers very differently. We're having to get on the front foot. We're having to reevaluate everything that we do and make sure that we are building things that are much more resilient than they were.
But critics point to Glasgow's public transport system as the Achilles heel of its ambitious climate targets. It wants to be carbon neutral by 2030. The Scottish Government says Glasgow is and was ready for COP26.
I've been in COPs in Marrakesh, in Bonn, in Katowice in Poland, in Madrid, and there is no perfect place.
Do you think that delegates will come and look at your public transport system in Glasgow and see that as a model of the way public transport should be in terms of persuading people to get out of their cars?
I think Glasgow is working incredibly hard. It's a city that has a good public transport system, but it knows that it can be better.
It's the poorer communities everywhere who are less able to endure the impacts of climate change. Stuart and Henry, who've worked outdoors all their lives, one as a labourer, the other a binman, don't need convincing the weather is changing. You're born and bred in Glasgow and you've noticed the weather changing.
The wind seems to be getting heavier. Some days you get up in the morning and it's hot, isn't it?
There's no escaping lockdown, but inspired by the activist Greta Thunberg, this woman says the pandemic shouldn't obscure the climate emergency.
All of those things like what was happening with Greta Thunberg was doing, there was a lot going on about that, and we just don't really hear about it now, so it's sad.
Okay, what's your name?
It's Greta.
No, your name.
My name?
Yeah.
Greta.
Your Glasgow's Greta. Glasgow says it's got the ambition to host a successful climate conference next year, and its spirits won't be dampened, even if some of the event has to be virtual. Lisa Holland, Sky News, Glasgow.
Stick with us on the programme. Coming up after the break, I'll be speaking to the global adventurer Bear Grylls about his new project. It's aiming to help everyone succeed and realise their potential with, as you can see, the help of a few famous names. That's next.
November the 1st, 2006, 2 Russian agents released deadly nuclear poison. The agents were on a mission to kill former KGB spy Alexander Litvinenko. But there was another man in the hotel bar that afternoon, and his life became intertwined with Alexander Litvinenko from that day forward. From Sky News' multi-award-winning podcast, Storycast, now comes Polonium and the Piano Player. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Just a bit of breaking news to bring you from Hungary, where they're bringing in coronavirus lockdown restrictions after a significant rise in cases. The Hungarian Prime Minister saying that if coronavirus infections rise at the current pace, the country's hospitals will not be able to cope. You've never heard that before. These new restrictions mean that sports events will be held behind closed doors, secondary schools will close, all gatherings will be banned, restaurants, museums, theatres, gyms, all of those to close as well. Some really heavy lockdown restrictions being brought in Hungary. Similar to that in the situation in the UK, the Prime Minister there saying if infections rise at the current rate, that country's hospitals will not be able to cope. More on that through the day. But a change of direction now. He's travelled to most corners of the globe, if not all of them. But now the adventurer Bear Grylls has co-founded a new purpose-led learning company to help people realise their potential. Becoming X has enlisted the help of global stars, including Roger Federer and Julia Roberts, to demystify the secrets to their success and help you try and follow in their footsteps. I'm very pleased to say that Bear joins us on the programme now. Bear Grylls, lovely to see you this morning, and let's start with the biggest question of all. Exactly what is Becoming X, and what inspired you to put it together?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We spent the last probably about 2 years interviewing some of the world's most inspiring people. And the goal was really simple. We were trying to understand what it takes to succeed, and as you say, we've interviewed people from, from Olympic gold medalists, to Oscar winners, to Nobel Peace Prize winners, humanitarians, astronauts even. And the result is this Becoming X global education initiative. And I think that word you used, demystify success, is a great way of summarising. It's trying to sort of get behind, get under the skin of what it really takes for people to be able to get ahead in life. And it's sort of the things that they don't always teach in schools, from dealing with failure and how to build resilience and how to communicate well and negotiate and all these sort of stuff. But I'm incredibly proud of it. It's been a real big project put together, but it's about helping and serving people to help them to reach their potential, I suppose.
Bear, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm detecting perhaps a slight change in tactics from ways in which you previously sought to inspire people to reach their best. Rather less of eating raw insects and drinking your own urine, rather more about kind of focusing on the task in front of you. Tell us just a little bit about what it is that we can learn from these superstars, right?
Well, I think it's often the things that you don't expect. You see people interviewed often, and you hear about the kind of highs and the triumphs and the medals. But I think what we've really tried to do in these interviews, and we're launching initially with 16 of these films, with these sort of iconic people, is getting behind that, actually hearing about the struggles and the doubts and the failures and what it took for them to be able to push through these times and what skills have really helped them in their life. And I think more and more in the world we're realising it's different from sometimes the things we're just conventionally taught at school. We need other skills in our life, whether it's that negotiating or communicating or being that team player or that leader. And hearing these things was very powerful, and it was actually very surprising, a lot of the stuff they talked about and how honest people were. But we've had incredible support for this, and I think people recognise the world is in an incredibly difficult time right now, and never more so, I think, for young people especially. And it's just trying to support people through this and say, hold on, this can be like a tool for you to take things to the next level, to really help you achieve your goals. And I've been so lucky to be able to follow sort of a real dream of mine in my career, and staying with a lot of people you know, the interviews, you know, we've got this been through many kind of times of struggle and doubt, and that is what we're trying to get to, you know, becoming X is about helping people to be able to realize their real goals in their life and say you can do it despite these cycles, you can do it.
Home of Truth, you are welcome to my channel.
Of the advice people might get, because it's
Home of Truth, you are welcome. Good morning.
country in the world, every person.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Don't have a vaccine. We've got
Thanks for coming.
don't see a way out.
YTV.
Most of us, myself included,
YTV.
compartmental.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Put it in a box and try and get it as far to the back.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
There. How does one deal with something?
Good morning, wherever you are. Good morning. You are welcome to my channel. You can grab whoever you want.
Achieving our own goals, our long-term strategies and goals.
But I think the scouts kind of have it right when they say you got to be.
You are welcome to my channel. You can grab whoever you want.
We're just in a really big storm at the moment, but
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
storms don't last forever, and you got to try. And
Thank you guys for being here with me, for your support.
And I think the world is an ever tougher, more competitive place, and anything that can help people to be equipped and to be prepared and to be able to get ahead when that, you know, those clouds do eventually pass. But I think, you know, that is the heart of what becoming X is about. It's saying, you know, let's use this time to really get empowered and to get ready and to get equipped. And you know, as I said, all of us need a helping hand. I think a lot of the lessons we learned from chatting to a lot of these legends was that we all stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, and giants come in many forms. Sometimes it's people, but sometimes it's inspiration. Sometimes it's skills we've learned, resources or books we've read. And that's what becoming X is. It's trying to be a giant for, you know, a set of shoulders for people to stand on to help them in their life.
Bear Grylls, we will leave it there. Really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll wrap that up. Time for us to see how the weather is looking this Monday morning in November. That's the details.
Thanks for pointing out that it's November. It is looking cloudy today. It is looking mild and foggy as well with spells of rain. In fact, that's the story for the whole week.
Get ready for safe skies. The weather is sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Good morning. So we're back to the mild regime where we're getting cloudy skies for most places this week as well, spells of rain and fairly extensive areas of mist and fog. In fact, it's foggy pretty much everywhere across England, Wales and up to the eastern parts of Scotland this morning. And the mist and fog is slowly lifting and clearing, but it will take some time and probably lingering around the eastern areas for a time. Out towards the west, we are seeing showery rain, also in the east, and that showery rain with heavy downpours at times will continue moving north and eastwards through this afternoon. So at times it will be wet, but it is going to be mild and mostly dry up towards Scotland, Ireland and Northern Ireland.
The weather is sponsored by Qatar Airways.
And that's a lot from us for this morning. Just to tell you, in the last few minutes, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, has been speaking, saying that the Biden victory, Kamala Harris, saying regarding the Biden victory, Kamala Harris is for many women an inspiration and that we need to stand side by side. More on that in the next hour.
top stories live from the Sky News City studio. The task force and executive orders to reverse the policies of the French regime. Just what should we expect from the Biden presidency? Global markets jump as it becomes clear that President Trump refuses to concede. Back around the table, Michel Barnier in London as the negotiators start a fresh round of talks on the Brexit trade deal. And to the fire break in Wales, more than 2 weeks of tighter COVID restrictions are relaxed. And I'll speak to the chief executive of Oxford, Jess Staley, as politicians and businesses focus on climate change. Good morning, Mr. Zinkenstein, and our business and economic news from the heart of the city. I know Joe Biden will be the next and 46th President of the United States, in charge of the world's biggest economy. He'll take over in January. Not that the man he's taking over from yet appears to realise it. Rather than conceding, Donald Trump is spending his time playing golf and telling unsubstantiated conspiracy theories about election fraud. But the markets are moving on with the certainty of a decisive outcome led to a jump in Asia overnight that spreads to Europe. We expect from the new administration. A range of topics likely to affect the global economy, such as trade and climate change. Joining me now, Ingrid Pentrop, she's the chair of Democrats abroad in the UK, and Amy Pope, who is the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor in the Obama White House, and she's now a partner at the law firm Schillings. Welcome to both. Amy, let me begin with you. Obviously, the priority is COVID. Just how quickly would you expect to see another stimulus package?
That's going to be very much on the table. The key question, though, is where the Republicans will be. Joe Biden can't do a stimulus package on his own, whereas he can build a COVID response right away with his team in place. But he needs Mitch McConnell, he needs the Republicans, he needs them to come to the table and look for compromise. So I expect that to be a very, very early priority, and we'll see where the Senate Majority Leader lands on that.
Well, quite so, Amy has just put her finger on what's going to be one of the key challenges for Joe Biden, namely how does he get his policies through the Republican Senate?
One of the most important things is going to be setting the tone, setting the expectations that this is a group that is really serious about leadership. And we've already seen this because today they're beginning the transition process. You know, one of the things that Joe Biden has been saying throughout this election is that words matter. What you say matters. So, you know, when you have a president who says, look, we understand the seriousness of this, we understand how COVID is affecting your life and how the economy is so damaged, I think that's going to help. And it's going to be very difficult for the Republicans to, you know, sit on their hands and not participate in something when it is affecting all Americans, everyone who voted for Biden, who voted for Trump.
In terms of some of his other policies, I mean, for example, he wanted to raise corporate taxes from 21 to 28%. I mean, that's a dead letter, that, surely.
That is so much more difficult. Yeah. It is much more difficult. Many of the big legislative initiatives that were put on the table, things like the tax changes, a public option in healthcare, that is really going to be a tough road ahead unless the Georgia Senate race flips in a way that no one really expects, and the Democrats take the Senate. So I see President Biden really focusing on executive actions that he can take, foreign policy, issues where he is going to have a tremendous amount of executive authority to set his priorities.
I mean, Biden is renowned as being a deal maker. He's renowned in his career for being bipartisan. What are going to be the areas of common ground you think that he can strike with Mitch McConnell?
Well, again, I think that the pandemic situation is going to have to be part of it. We need to ramp up testing all throughout the country. We need to make sure that PPE is available. And he's already sketching out these points. I think he has already revealed a 7-point plan to be able to deal with this problem. I think also the economy is going to be a concern because so many people, I think something like 1 out of every 6.
Guys, you can connect with each other.
As a result of the COVID pandemic. So we need to look at all of that.
Hello, Kings.
I would hope also for infrastructure, to be honest, that has been on the table.
Kings Nelson official. You are welcome to my channel. You are welcome.
Thanks
for coming. Good morning.
I mean, it's been the
You can grab anybody you want. Thanks for coming. You are welcome.
Joe Biden and business?
Well, certainly Joe Biden is going to expect greater adherence to corporate governance and to climate issues and a whole range of things that traditionally does impose costs on businesses. But at the same time, he is a very pragmatic and sensible person. He's going to be governing from the middle, and I think that we should expect that he is going to be looking to bring people on board and build bridges rather than sort of come in guns blazing. He certainly doesn't have the congressional mandate to do that. So
And you can drop your link. You are free to drop your link.
and looking for ways to govern that make sense to most Americans.
Amy, what about the relationship with big tech in particular?
I think actually that is quite a promising story in terms of support from people in Silicon Valley is quite strong, but it is something that's going to have to be addressed in terms of the large social media platforms. What's the relationship going to be like that? Where are they being serious about getting rid of false information and flagging it up? I think there's some improvements that we're seeing this election.
Ciao, Frank.
So it's something to
Okay, va bene, grazie.
who will probably be coming from the Obama background and who will be coming in and helping with that whole issue. So, it's going to be slow steps. Social media has changed our landscape, but it's something we all use. It's where a lot of Americans get their information.
Well, Amy, that's a really interesting point, isn't it? Obviously the financial markets are very focused on who's going to be the next US Treasury Secretary. Who's your money on?
Well, there are a couple of great contenders who are under consideration. The one name that's been out there that I think may be, less of an issue, less of a real contender is Elizabeth Warren. And I think that actually reflects the fact that the current Senate is not looking like it's going to be a Democratic one. And so that means getting through a candidate like Warren might be a lot harder. Now, how that plays out, I don't know. There are really tremendous people who are under consideration. And I don't have any insider knowledge on that.
What about the Federal Reserve, Amy? Do you think Jay Powell will get another term, or do you think Joe Biden will be looking to replace him?
Well, Biden is going to be looking at what the evidence is. He is not going to want to politicize this issue. He has made the point consistently that we need to evaluate things from an evidence-based point of view. And so I think that just depends on how this plays out, over the near-term future.
And then very briefly, please, on China. Do you expect to see relationships improve there?
I think one of the things you're going to be seeing with the Biden-Harris administration is a stronger ability to engage with all international type agreements, to engage on the world stage. I can't comment specifically on China, but I'm sure we're going to be back in the Paris Agreement. I'm sure we'll be honoring those global agreements that we made before. So America will be back as a leader on the international stage and honoring the agreements that we made before and communicating with leaders around the world. So all I can say at this point.
Guys, you can grab each other, show love to one another.
Climate change, particularly, which is becoming and is such a pressing thing.
Home of Truth. Thank you very much.
Amy, good to talk
Thank you for staying with me. Thank you. God bless you.
And next, the new COVID task force. We'll have more on that throughout the morning here on Sky News. But in the meantime, there's plenty of talk about what a new Biden White House might mean for UK-US trade deal. But above all, on the agenda for the government here is with the EU. We talked to resuming in London this morning. Boris Johnson says the deal is still within reach. The end of the transition period is now just 8 weeks away. We're right out of Westminster. And our political correspondent, Tom Rayner. So, Tom, is this a moment of real hope for the breakthrough?
I think it's hard to judge the mood here, actually, because as you said, there's 8 weeks till the end of the transition period, but really the timescale that people are looking at is about 5 to 10 days until the point where there would no longer be time for the European Parliament to ratify any agreement. So I think we are really in the last week or perhaps couple of weeks in terms of time to reach a deal. Yesterday, the Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said he was confident a deal could be reached. But this morning on Sky News, George Eustace, the Environment Secretary, also seemed to put out some positive notes, suggesting that on sticking points like fisheries, for example, that the UK government was open to what he described as a sensible approach, mooted the idea that you might have a resolution which was based around a time-limited agreement on fisheries specifically, perhaps one that would ultimately see things stay the same, perhaps for around 3 years. That won't be politically completely pain-free, because the Federation of Fishing Organisations have already made clear that they wouldn't be happy with that. But I think the big sticking points remain, even if you put fisheries to one side, and there's no sense yet that you can do that, around the issues of state aid and the level playing field, where, of course, the UK government says ultimately the EU hasn't given enough ground on the idea that the UK wants to be able to diverge from EU rules and regulations. And so the talks will continue this week. Michel Barnier is in London. He arrived by Eurostar last night, and he will meet with David Frost, the Prime Minister's chief negotiator, over the next few days. But I think the other thing to mention here, of course, today is the Internal Markets Bill, which of course is crucial in terms of Brexit. The EU say it undermines the withdrawal agreement being signed. Of course, Joe Biden himself criticised that piece of legislation, saying that it suggests that the Good Friday Agreement could become a casualty of Brexit.
All right, Tom, thanks for that. The great fear for many businesses was that new lockdown restrictions would turn out to be Hotel California. You can check out but never leave. In Wales, the so-called fire-break lockdown that lasted just over 2 weeks has come to an end. Restrictions have eased, but plenty of controls still in place. So businesses, they're feeling more optimistic. And joining me now is Heather Anstey-Mayer. She's Chief Executive of the South and Mid Wales Chambers of Commerce. Heather, welcome to you. Are you feeling more optimistic about life this morning?
Yes, clearly it's good news for businesses in Wales. The First Minister gave us his word a couple of weeks ago, well, 17 days ago, that we would be out of the fire break today, and that has been honoured. So businesses trying to get back to some form of normal today here in Wales.
So do you think this second lockdown has worked?
It certainly could behaviours. It's been a lot quieter on the roads and around Wales in the last 17 days. We won't know how that actually transpires into the health figures for some time yet, but we are optimistic that we have created enough of a fire break to enable some normal trading and some good retail trading as we go into the Christmas period.
So you're reasonably hopeful that there'll be no need for another set of restrictions like this?
I think we're optimistic at the moment, this side of Christmas, that there won't be. Whether or not we have another set of fire breaks, depending on what the health experts tell us, is at the moment a point of discussion in Wales. I am not convinced that we won't be having a second fire break of some kind, but we're hopeful that that would not be before Christmas.
That's pretty depressing, though.
It's a difficult time for businesses, and obviously it was a 17-day fire break in Wales. England has seen a much more intense fire break over a longer period of time. So this is not an easy situation or a slick set of solutions that can be put in place here. We have to take the advice from the Health Minister and from what we're hearing around how the infection is spreading, and then all we can do is react appropriately to that.
Do you think this early action from the First Minister, though, has helped see off the need for a longer lockdown like the one we're now seeing in England?
That was certainly the intention, and
arrivo.
That has been the case. We knew that if we didn't go into lockdown now, the likelihood was that it would be a longer fire break, and so we are optimistic that we've been able to do a fire break over a shorter period of time with less impact on businesses than perhaps is playing out in England right now.
What sort of level of attrition have you seen amongst businesses having the last couple of weeks? Are you aware of businesses having gone to the wall during this period?
Yes, of course, and I think the attrition is being felt at different places in our economy at different times. So manufacturing businesses have been able to keep going and have had the restrictions in place for some time around the 2-week working rule. So we haven't seen as heavy disruption there. In terms of retail and hospitality, that has been a really heavy impact. And sadly, some businesses will have gone to the wall, but a number of businesses understood why it was needed and are now getting themselves geared up and ready to try to have some form of catch-up, if you like, as we go into the Christmas period. Let's not forget that a lot of our businesses in Wales have been really responsible around face masks and route bookings and really trying to control the spread of the virus within those settings. And they've taken a lot of care and time to do that, and will continue to do that as they come out of these restrictions now.
All right, Heather, appreciate you joining me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, still to come on In Gig Live. Heather mentioned manufacturing. 1 in 3 manufacturers say new lockdowns are their number one thing. Welcome back. Now, a lot of the focus in recent months has been understandably on the hardest hit parts of the economy, which has mainly been in the service sector, like in aviation, retail and hospitality. Manufacturing has been affected, but less directly. Factories have largely remained open and continue to be during the current lockdown restrictions. The new research from Make UK shows that 35% of manufacturing businesses say new lockdowns are their biggest concern for the next year. Well, joining me now is the Chief Executive of Make UK, Stephen Phipson. Stephen, welcome to you. I'm slightly surprised that lockdowns is such a concern for manufacturers, given, as I say, it's been relatively robust compared to services.
Well, good morning, Ian, and you're right to say that, but obviously there's a great deal of concern about the repeated possibility of lockdowns going forward. We've seen around 20% of businesses only in the manufacturing sector seeing any kind of recovery in their orders. We've seen a massive reduction in investment. We're down nearly 25% year to date. And actually, it's these second order effects. It's the demand side that really does worry these manufacturers. If you can't ship parts overseas because of restrictions, that tends to limit considerably the activity you're able to do. And of course, we've seen around 50% of manufacturers now making redundancies, and that's had a knock-on effect. We're taking on apprenticeships, etc. So there's quite a lot of second-order effects here in the manufacturing sector. And of course, some sectors, as we've seen, like automotive and aerospace, particularly severely hit. So that's why today, Ian, we're calling for a three-point plan, a plan to try to coordinate the national effort to make sure we've got a strong and resilient manufacturing sector coming out of these lockdowns.
How unhelpful is it to that end, Stephen, that we're not getting a 3-year government spending review this month?
Well, it's part of the problem, really, and we need to have a much longer-term view. If we look at our European partners, people that we have a lot of trade with on the manufacturing side, we see a much longer-term view of this. And whilst we absolutely appreciate the support the government has actually given us in terms of things like the job retention scheme and the financial packages, there is now a need to coordinate a proper recovery plan going forward, something that's a lot longer term. So really this is around clear and consistent messages, establishing a proper industry action group under our prepare heading, and really making sure that we can really make the sector resilient for the future. It's absolutely critical.
Now, you've offered to work with government in terms of rolling out a better testing regime, rather like industry did with the ventilator challenge. What sort of response have you had from the ministry?
Good, so we're talking to them about it. These are all ideas in the pot. I think the feeling you get is there's lots of individual sort of actions and considerations going on. So really today what we're trying to say is we need one consistent action plan under preparing, making sure we've got that industry group established, making sure we can build resilience into our supply chains, around implementation to protect jobs and skills, calling for a national task force to make sure that we can redeploy those skilled workers into the right jobs, and then about leading for the future, really fixing this national testing regime that will be part of the answer to avoid these lockdowns going forward. And the manufacturing can step up and support that. And then obviously considering the fiscal environment in which we're operating, trying to stimulate that demand again for investment and making sure that we can deal with the debt that's been taken on in the sector as well. Many manufacturers have taken advantages of the government support schemes, but that means they're left with a lot of debt. And how are we going to encourage growth capital in the future? So really bringing these themes together into a three-point plan is what we need to do, we believe, at this stage.
Well, you made a very good point there on debt. I mean, is it time for specific support for individual sectors and indeed companies? I mean, if you take a company like Rolls-Royce, they have had to borrow very, very heavily just to keep the show on the road.
Well, there is we believe there was a case, and we've been making that case to ministers around to things like the areas like commercial aerospace in particular that's been very, very heavily hit, and of course a very really important advanced manufacturing sector for this country, and automotive, where we've got 800,000 people employed in the UK. So really there is some sectoral support required there, but there are these general themes about the general manufacturing environment that we need to get right. It's such an important sector, particularly as we want to export to the world and carry on with the growth in high quality jobs. And to do that, we need a coordinated planning.
All right, Stephen, good to talk to you as ever. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Markets in the Asia-Pacific region enjoyed solid gains overnight with relief that the outcome of the US election has finally been resolved. There were gains in all of the main markets, with the Nikkei 225 in Tokyo closing up by more than 2%, nearly 2%, yeah, 2%. So it's a fresh 29-year high. The main stock index in the US is an all-time high today, while the Kospi in South Korea also hit a 2-year high. And in Europe, the market's opened to the upside a couple of hours ago or so. As you can see, it's a pretty well solid sea of blue right now. Among the main talking points, shares of Norwegian Air, they're off by more than 17%. And news that the carrier is not going to be receiving any further additional support from the Norwegian government. In London, the FTSE 100 is also in positive territory.
Home of truth, thank you.
Percentage points high right now in a broad-based rally. The house builder Taylor Wimpey is the leading blue chip gainer, currently ahead by more than 11%, and that is on news that full-year profits are going to be better than expected. That's also supported the likes of Persimmon and Barratt Developments. You can see Barratt up nearly 5% there. Some of the mining heavyweights are also trading high, following news of a surge in Chinese copper imports. Outside the FTSE, Countrywide, the owner of the Bairstow and estate agency chains, is up by, well, it says 4% on the screen there. Looking at it just now, it looks a lot higher than that. That's following news of a £2.50p a share takeover bid from privately owned rival Corners. Look at the share price there. Market telling me that they're expecting something more than £2.50 a share. On the foreign exchange markets, the dollar is at a 10-year low, and the yen has also fallen. As investors have been moving out of safe haven currencies and taking on a little more risk. That's benefited the likes of the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. Sterling largely unchanged against dollar, the US dollar, or the euro slightly lower against both. As as for the oil price, well, I mentioned investors recapturing a bit more of an appetite for risk. And as you can see, the barrel of Brent crude above $40 again, currently ahead by just over 2.25 points there, $40.32 a barrel right now. Well, let's get a bit of market reaction and analysis.
Thank you, guys.
Strategist for Europe and Middle East and Africa at JP Morgan Asset Management.
Thank you, guys.
And of course, Kevin Bose, who's on the investment committee at Carmignac. And welcome to you both. Karen, let me start with you. As I've been saying, a lot of appetite for more risk this morning. Do you think this is going to be sustainable? Is it going to last?
Well, markets don't like uncertainty, and as you said, Ian, we have now a resolution on the US election, and President Biden, I think the market is assuming it's going to help broadly with reducing uncertainty. President Trump, certainly his approach to foreign policy was fairly unpredictable, and that really weighed on appetite for assets in Asia, but then more globally. I think what we're seeing is digesting that news on Biden. Can it continue, was your question? Probably for some time. We do need to keep an eye on what's happening with the virus, of course, particularly in the United States. We're clearly seeing the restrictive measures across Europe to contain the spread, but the US itself is quite a significant third wave. So we'll keep an eye on that, whether that requires additional restrictions. But for now, I think the market's going to continue on that wave of comfort that uncertainty is reduced.
Kevin, what about trade relations between the US and the EU? Is that an area of focus for you right now? I mean, obviously the EU's it's been cleared by the World Trade Organization to slap tariffs on a lot of US imports.
Yes, and the change or the coming changes at the White House is probably going to ease the relation a bit. It's going to be
Toast with Zandy.
with Europe. It's going to be
You are welcome to my channel. You are welcome. Thank you for coming.
so all of this
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
volatility.
Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Position for China, even the approach might
You can grab whoever you want. You are free to drop your link.
be different, right?
Thank you.
On the macro, in terms of concrete macros, it will probably remain quite a hard stance on China.
Now, Karen, as we've been discussing in the programme this morning, we've likely to get a Republican-controlled Senate. I mean, Republicans in Senate, they're normally quite happy with spending when there's a Republican.
No, thank you too. Thank you too.
They come over full of fiscal.
Thank you for being here with me.
Yes, I think that is the risk, and as I say, in the context of the virus once again spreading through the United States and potentially the need for further restrictions, that is the lingering concern we have as we digest the news of the election, because as we've seen here in the UK, for example, we could cope with the virus if we know there's going to be that strong fiscal and monetary support for the economy in the interim. So if we do find out that the Republicans really hamstrung what President Biden can do in terms of supporting the economy, then that is a risk. But we do expect there will be a fiscal package that comes in the US, but it's certainly going to be of a smaller magnitude than it would be if we had seen a blue sweep.
The assumption, though, Karen, is that this is going to be pretty positive for treasuries.
Certainly, if we're seeing less heavy lifting by the fiscal authorities, that puts a lot more of the weight onto the shoulders of the central banks, and certainly the expectation is interest rates will be on hold for longer. There'll be more asset purchases coming out of the Federal Reserve and indeed global central banks, and that's weighing, therefore, on bond yields across the world.
In the meantime, of course, we've been in the middle of earnings season, which is largely now over. What have been the main takeaways for you?
Well, the main takeaway has been that the consensus in Tesla has been probably far too cautious when they entered this earnings season, and results have continued to come very, very strong. I mean, Q3, the third quarter results have come 20% higher than expectations. They've been so strong that they're even now above Q4 expectations. So all of this is very positive for equity markets, and we also seeing some revision and consent side revision turning now back into positive territory, so more upgrades than downgrades, and this also is very positive for the market.
Well, Kevin, good to talk to you. Have to leave it there. Karen, good to see you as well. Thank you both. Well, still to come on Ian King Live. The UK is a step closer to signing a trade deal with Kenya.
Halifax, the International Money Transfer Service brings you Sky News financial updates when it matters.
Guys, I will be signing off in 10 minutes time. I will be signing off. I hope you enjoy staying so you can see each other before I go off. I hope you enjoy staying.
Coffee, tea, vegetables and flowers it exports vehicles and pharmaceuticals manufactured here. Well, I'm joined now from Nairobi by Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Betty Minor. Betty, welcome to you. How does this deal differ from what the UK currently has with Kenya as part of its EU membership?
Kenya Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's actually not very different from what we have with Europe. It's based on the economic partnership agreement between the UK and between Europe and East African community. But I think as part of the transition arrangement, it became necessary for the UK to enter individual bilateral agreements with its trading partners. So that secures trade in the manner that was secured with
But essentially, it just replicates what the UK has in its existing arrangements with Kenya under the EU.
Yes, it does, by and large, but what it also provides is additional agreements between Kenya and the UK on new areas. Because under the EPA, we negotiated basically trade in goods, but we didn't extend it to services. But now, after concluding this agreement with the UK, it will be possible to explore additional trade relationships and include services which was not included before.
Oh, that sounds quite exciting. In terms of...
Yes, it is.
Go on.
Yes, it is. I think for Kenya and the UK, it was important to ensure that relationships starting 2021 are secure, but that it shouldn't just be based on the past. I think both of us are looking forward to stronger and firmer relationships, and therefore we need to explore areas of investment and trade that we haven't explored before in the context of building the East African community.
And that's a crucial point that you raised there. This deal not only affects Kenya, it also covers other countries in the East Africa community, such as Uganda and South Sudan.
At present, it's been negotiated by Kenya and the UK, but it has an accession clause for the rest of East African countries.
No, can you hear me, Betty? I think we might have... Oh no, she's back. Betty, sorry. Very briefly, Betty, the UK obviously buys a lot of vegetables and cut flowers from Kenya. What goes in the other direction?
A lot of capital goods come in from the UK into Kenya. Actually, Kenya is fortunate to have a fairly balanced trade with the UK compared to a lot of the other developed countries. So we import pharmaceuticals, vehicles, machinery, and other equipment, capital goods that we use to make goods that we use to sell back.
All right, Betty, we'll leave it there. Very good to talk to you. Betty Ryder from Kenya. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
There is, to say the very least, a lot going on in the world economy at the moment. One man who's seen almost all of it before is Sir Martin Sorrell, who set up the world's biggest advertising and marketing agency, WPP. He's been in the industry for getting on for half a century, but he now runs S4 Capital. He's no one better with this perspective on the current crisis. S4 just reported its third quarter like-for-like revenues up 30%. I'll begin by asking Sir Martin if he felt trade was returning to a normal level.
Well, we're fortunate. We're very unfortunate times of being in the digital space. We're totally digital, and it's a marketplace that's been flat to up this year. It's actually going to cross 50% of total global ad spend this year, which is probably around $500 to $550 billion as a whole, down from about 550 to 600 million last year. But digital has been flat to up a bit. As you've seen, in Q3 we're up 23%, and for the year to date we're up 16%.
I'm really struck in the trading statements. You mentioned a whole list of clients, the likes of Klarna, Shopify, Beyond Meat. These are businesses that weren't around a decade ago. Do they have the potential in years to come, do you think, to be as big spenders on advertising and marketing services as the traditional FMCG giants?
So we are expanding our client base, what we call conversion of scale, client conversion of scale, primarily with tech and healthcare companies. That's about 60% of our business, but also more generally to your point with FMCG and auto. And it's just the new companies, such as the ones that you mentioned, Wellcome, Shopify, and beyond that, it's the standards, and it comes back to as I said before, that I think one of the, if there are any good things to come out of COVID-19, it is this willingness to change much more rapidly, but all bets are off now.
Now, looking at the statement, while you're growing strongly in all geographic regions, the US is really outperforming. Is that because of the nature of the US economy, the fact that it's bounced back more rapidly from COVID?
Yes, I think obviously it is under stress and strain. There are controversies around whether there should be further lockdowns, just like we see and indeed Western Europe. But generally, it's we refer to that region as the Americas. It's not just North America, not just Canada and the US, but Latin America, which for us is Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Brazil. There's much more pricing power because there's more inflation in the system. But essentially, you're right. I mean, the powerful US economy, 24 trillion out of about 75, with the Chinese at around 14 trillion. These are the two biggest economies, potentially, I think, the fastest growing economies in the world. So India is another one that we're very focused on as well. But it is the power center of the US economy. And of course, the president was sideways by COVID-19. I think that was the problem that he had to deal with, and the reason that he hasn't really hoped to make in the election. But essentially, the US economy is still powerful, very strong, and it's technology oriented.
So if you're sceptical, Martin, about a rapprochement between the China under Joe Biden, what are the other policy wins potentially that you'd be looking for?
We'll probably have a Republican controlled Senate who will bring, I think, balance. And the markets, as you know, are reflecting. The recovery that we've seen was sort of emerging since before the election, I think driven by fears of the blue wave. But that was a little bit sort of bifurcated in the sense that if we had the blue wave, we would have a strong stimulus in news of the market, tax increases, hikes on corporation tax, reversion to the pre-Trump era, 28%.
Like you see, and I Portugal.
I mean, we've seen a huge change in the M&A market in our sector in the last few weeks. There's a fear of increasing capital gains tax, and the amount of churn that we're seeing in the M&A market is huge as a result of that. But I think what we'll see is much more balance, and the markets are reflecting that. As I said, I'm bullish about 2021 for the macro reasons, GDP recovery, vaccine, therapeutic and testing development. I think we will have a vaccine, one or two vaccines maybe by Q2 of next year. I think we're set for a very strong GDP bounce next year.
Sir Martin Sorrell speaking to me earlier. There's more countries committing zero COVID by the middle of the century. There's acceptance that the financial sector will be critical in helping smooth the transition. That's the focus of the Green Horizon Summit being hosted by the City of London Corporation for the next 3 days, at which the former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, the Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, and Prince Charles will all be speaking. But also taking part is the Chief Executive of Barclays, Jess Bailey, who joins me now. Jess, welcome to you. Mark Carney has said that climate change is the biggest commercial opportunity of our generation. Is that overstating it?
Thank you guys for coming. So it's time for me to turn off. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for staying with me. I hope you enjoy staying. I hope you can to connect with other people. Thank you guys, and God bless you for staying with me, and I wish you many more bananas. And thank you guys, thank you, God bless you. So it's time for me to sign off.